Resident Evil.
The Resident Evil series is definitely strange. It's grown to such a point that people just know what the series is, but not everyone has decided to dive into the games. For the longest time, I didn't even start with the series until like Resident Evil 5, but I did try at times. At one point, trying the original PC port, or I think it was like a weird copy of the original Resident Evil 3 on PC when I was young. It was something that stuck with me because it was such an interesting world to see. Well, this is going to be a video series going over hopefully each game in the series. There's so many at this point that I've just played them all, including the strange rail shooters that they made for the Wii that was then ported to, I think, the PS3. Actually, I'm not sure how I ended up playing those, but that's besides the point. Since Resident Evil 4 Remake is out, it's time to go back to where the series has started, except I'm doing the HD remake because I'm not that crazy. I first played this back when it was ported to the PlayStation 4, and for the longest time, it was easily one of my favorites in the series. Well, as you're about to see, nostalgia versus actually playing the game is very different. Some games should just stay where memory had it, however, I want to be able to record my thoughts on the games again, and well, Resident Evil doesn't really hold up, at least not in the ways that I remember. A few housekeeping things I should mention up front. I played this on PC since it was on sale and I figured why not. There's a pretty annoying bug that caused the game to run slow, as you can see here. Hopefully it's noticeable. Well, the game isn't supposed to do that. I almost scrapped this project until I found out how to fix it. If you decide you want to play this game for yourself and you choose PC instead of the console versions, I recommend just putting the game on 1080p and letting the frame rate stay variable with no VSync. Not sure what really is the cause. I believe the engine is trying to make everything has to run consistent or something, but it's very strange to see. PC gaming can be weird. Also, this is mostly just to talk about what the game is and what it does, not a full story dissection and critique, but enough to set a basis for what will be longer looks at the next games in the series. But with that out of the way, let's jump into what started the series.
Alpha Team is flying around the forest zone, situated in northwest Raccoon City.
You can play as two characters, either Chris Redfield or Jill Valentine. If you decide to play as Chris, you're losing out on 1, a better character, and 2, more inventory space when playing. This game kind of is, well, okay, it's extremely annoying when you have to manage inventory space, and those 2 extra spaces is unbelievably useful when you play as Jill. The game starts out in Raccoon City Forest, where you're looking for a missing Bravo team. Strange stories of families being eaten, strange murders going around the city. Also, I wish the intro was revoiced depending on who you chose, but it's done by Chris regardless. Which is a shame because Jill's more entertaining with her confusion at times. You get chased by some dogs, saved by a member named Wesker, and head towards a giant mansion. You, along with Wesker and Barry, are tasked with finding the other members and uncover what's going on in the mansion. There isn't too much of the story in this game, and it's essentially just a puzzle survival game. As you start off, you look for evidence of where people are, and your first zombie, and then get to explore mostly on your own. However, there is the first instance of slow motion, which I'm sorry if it seems odd in the footage. You get a warning as well that you probably shouldn't try and go outside the way that you came in, and well, this is what happens. So the main goal now is to try and explore the mansion. I think everything about this place is awesome, however, fuck the Spencer family for making it so damn confusing to get around. Why do I need to have certain keys for a door that's on a completely different sides of the mansion? Well, because puzzles. Why does this doorknob seem loose when it'll probably break? So you can walk around the mansion, pad out some more game time? I don't know. Why is there a room that will just turn you into a Jill sandwich? Well, because Barry.
Oh God, what did I do now? Wesker! Barry! Help!
Jill, you in there?
Barry? Get me out of here! The door's jammed!
Stand back! Grab my hand!
As you can probably tell, this is essentially what I find annoying in the game. This is mostly due to the inventory space and not knowing what will be needed at any time or like when you'll need it. You need these probably 3 to 4 spaces for ammo, guns, and health if you're cautious. So that leaves about 2 spaces for keys or something to help you get a key. This wouldn't be so bad if going to a storage locker was quick, but since you need to open a door to every room that has its own animation, that in itself lies the problem. At least when replaying all these years later. I'm not sure how much of my time was spent watching doors open. It's straight up engraved in my head at this point. As you explore, you come across a member of the team who needs to be rescued, which is pretty easy. Which then leads up to his first boss battle. Saving the other member of the team has him going to the room to assist. I'm pretty sure that some of the documents explain why their enemies are very specific, but why is there a giant damn snake in this mansion? First planes and now this? Anyways, you destroy it, but it slithers away and it probably comes back later, but first killing the other guy. This is essentially the loop in the game. Resident Evil isn't too story heavy outside of what Umbrella is, which isn't really mentioned until later, and the character of Lisa. One of the bigger reveals in the game is that a giant woman is walking around that you find out pretty much can't be killed. This is a theme in these games, unkillable people. Anyways, she was taken a long time ago for family, and she was tragically been stuck here since. She wears her mother's face and is upset at times. It's honestly tragic and the best part of the story. It is interesting and isn't typical. Hey, there's zombies because of the virus. Umbrella was trying to do things to change genetics as well as create bioweapons and like 17,000 other things. I don't know, Umbrella's strange. Well, during the course of the game, you start to head towards the outside area, run around some smaller snakes, fight off some spiders, dogs, anything that comes in your path. Eventually you hear Barry acting strange, and it's just kind of like a bait and switch. He's blackmailed, and it's kind of obvious that he isn't the bad guy. He's just there to be strange and throw you off about the path of, Wesker being evil. But before we get to him, I just want to mention how shitty this plant monster thing is. You eventually come across a giant plant and read a document how he has grown to the basement and upper floors. You really first see the annoying part of it after killing off some sharks, which, yes, is strange in itself. But this one tiny room down here, which you can't do anything with, is how you kill off this dumbass plant. Not any of the other 5 places that has roots laying around. Sorry, the doors are getting to me at this point. It's all just backtracking. Goes to another 30 doors to go through. Essentially, you don't realize anything until you need one specific item. Well, after this thing is dead, you go towards the underground lab. By the way, this is like most of the hours into the game and still no sign of Chris. Well, he's locked up here in the lab and is just kind of chilling being Chris. You have to go through more of this area, find out about Wesker being heavily involved in Umbrella, like essentially like part of the creation or just very early on, and how there's especially made enemies known as tyrants. Well, at least there's just one. This is the final boss of the game. There's something definitely strange with how I feel like this game wants you to be able to move more than it lets you, especially since there's this one-hit kill it can do. You eventually get a rocket launcher from the helicopter flying around and destroy it and live happily ever away, at least away from here. By the way, the whole rocket launcher and place blowing up ends up being like a theme with this series. At least the first 3 games, since those are the ones I've currently replayed up to this point for this video series. As you can see, I have issues with this game, but there's some enjoyment factors out of it. I really like how strange this mansion is, even though it's pretty fucking ridiculous. Why are the keys a specific way? Why are there traps in this mansion that's in the middle of the woods for its higher-ups for Umbrella? Especially since it's just like a secret entrance for Umbrella. Well, at least the mansion looks cool. The guy that made it, something Head Spencer, and I forgot his name. Well, he likes puzzles and arts, which fits. Granted, I wouldn't want to have to solve a puzzle in a painting room to change with lights so I can be able to go to my backyard since there's like one way in. And I certainly don't want to accidentally mess it up and be attacked by crows that hang out there. Also, speaking of crows, did you know you can attack the crows that are just hanging out in the stairwell? I don't recommend it, but you can do it. Won't be hard or anything. Well, that's essentially it for Resident Evil. This video is mostly made so I can share my thoughts on how the first game in the series is there and something to look back towards too when I do the other games and how the series changes over time. People really do like to do speedruns of this game, which makes sense due to time at the very end of each of these games. I just don't see myself ever wanting to do any more of these games in like a quick speedrun way, especially with all these goddamn doors opening and animation, so it won't be me for a while. Stay tuned for more on the Resident Evil series. Resident Evil 2 and 3 should be relatively soon, mostly since the footage is already captured for those games. And I'm working on playing through the remake of 4. Those videos will be more in depth. This one was just something to put so I can have something to go back to, mostly like a stepping stone for this video series. Well, anyways, see you guys in the next one.